welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. You join us on the back of another victory against Liverpool, the second in 15 days. What a fortnight it's been. And then there's been a lot happening in between those games as well. It's enough to make your mind explode. But before we get into mind exploding matters, let's see who we've got on the show today. We welcome Joe. Joe, my friend, how are you doing?
Hello, all good, Tom. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you. Just had my face clawed off by my child, found out that my eyes don't work over the weekend. So it's been, it's been an eventful 48 hours. So yeah. We also welcome back Kurtis. Kurtis, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm all right. Yeah. I'm very tired and not long got back from Nottingham and nearly had to sleep in London because I thought I'd missed all my trains. So I'm all right, but just chatted now. But happy to be back doing a pod after a very good victory.
Very much so, very much. And we also welcome Liverpool fan Kev from the LFC Daytrippers. Kev, my friend, thank you very much for joining us this evening. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Long day at work. Do you know what? We had a good therapy session on the Trippers last night and feel a bit better after it. It's always kind of good when you have a good win or a bad loss that you get on a pod, you get in the chat, you get involved and just exercise the demons and you're ready to go for the next day. Best therapy session going. Can't be.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. It's a very cathartic experience, these podcasts. And we've all been in that situation where we've come on absolutely moaning or celebrating a fantastic victory. So let's dive straight into it. I'm going to dive straight in with the news that is filling up our Twitter feeds at the moment, because I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Kurtis, and also Kev, as an outsider from an outsider's perspective. In that Moises Caicedo transfer saga. Now, it was no surprise to, I think, any Brighton fan that he wasn't included in the matchday squad yesterday, with Brighton giving him some time off to get his head straight until after the transfer window has closed. More reports today coming out saying that Arsenal have had bids rejected. Andy Naylor, the Brighton and Hove Albion correspondent for The Athletic, seems to have done away with all of the fucks he gives because he's currently giving zero. He is not pulling any punches. Kurtis, it's been a funny couple of days. It seems like it's been much longer, but it has only been, 4 days? What have you made briefly on the whole Moises Caicedo situation?
I'm sort of at a point now where I'm like, either something will happen or it won't. And whatever happens, I just want it to be done because I'm sort of tired of hearing about it. But I do hope he ends up staying, obviously, just because he's a very, very good player, and see out the season with us, because I think it'd be very beneficial for him and for us, obviously. But I've not liked how it all went down with the statement, and to be fair, what with him signing for a new big agent and stuff, I kind of saw it coming. I'm not gonna lie. But seemingly, by the sounds of it, we're not entertaining any sort of offers. And Tony Bloom's he's at his kitchen window just doing this to Arsenal and Chelsea, and I'm living for it. I'm living for it.
Yeah, it's been a pretty mad couple of days, and I think that's the big thing. Got Tony Bloom at the helm. Kev, I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this as someone who isn't a Brighton fan, because obviously as Brighton fans we're very close to the situation. Definitely some blue tinted specs going on here, I'm sure. What have you made, first of all, about the manner in which Caicedo has very publicly stated he wants to leave, but also some of the numbers being bandied around in regards to a fee for Caicedo? Because I believe that Liverpool were one of the clubs rumoured to be interested in him. So what have you made of it all?
Look, I mean, to be honest, there's ways of handling deals like this. If a buying club had come to Brighton at the start of the window, or a month before the window opened, and said on the quiet, we want this player, what's the price? Go and pay the price, but you can have him until the end of the month. Don't announce anything. Nobody needs to know that Brighton are cash rich with 60, 70, 75, 80 million pounds to spend. Quietly go about your business, replacing him in the window, and then let the transfer happen at the back end of it. That was one option that was available to both clubs who were in for him. The numbers are ridiculous. The numbers are obscene. And the fact that for all of the huff and puff, and I think he's a fantastic footballer, he's done really well. There's a guy in our pod, Keith Plunkett, who's really big on South American football. And he was talking about Moises Caicedo 2 years ago, that he was someone that we needed to be getting. And 2 years on, he's proved absolutely bang on 100% right. But at the same time, he's had one really good, exceptional season so far. He's 21 years of age. And if that's how easily he's had his head turned by an agent, a couple of things need to happen. He needs to go and figure out who his agent works for, whether his agent works for a selling club or his agent is there to represent his best interests. And then he needs to take ownership of the fact that he's the boss. He's the one who allowed that statement to go out. He's the one that put himself in this situation. He's the one who signed his contract. He's the one who has to honor his contract. It's not up to him to try to force a move. He can try, but when it goes sideways, he's got to deal with the consequences. If he wants to keep his value up, then he's going to have to turn it on the pitch and not show mental weakness that I didn't get what I want. I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm down in tools for Brighton, and do what you've seen many other players in the past do. And when it comes to the summer, his value is shot. You look at Anthony Gordon at Everton. The rumor was going around at the time in the summer was that Chelsea were bidding 60 million for him. He's forced to move through to Newcastle by putting in a transfer request for 40 million plus 5 in add-ons. So Everton have lost 20 million. That's the flip side of what could happen to Brighton. Let's be honest about this. It is good money that Brighton have been offered. 65 million, 70 million plus add-ons, whatever it is. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous fee. And at the same time, it could go sideways where in the summer his value might be 50, 55. That's 15 million that Brighton could do a hell of a lot with. But at the flip side is there's a premium out there at the moment for top tier box-to-box central midfielders who are in demand. Liverpool need to sign 3 midfielders in the summer. Chelsea will need to sign at least another one, even if this one goes through tonight with Enzo, because it's looking like Mason Mount isn't going to extend his contract. Manchester United, down the line, maybe in the next 18 months, are going to be looking to find Casemiro's replacement. Arsenal still need to bring someone in, at least one, if not 2. And Man City, at some stage, are going to be looking to replace Bernardo Silva, an aging Kevin De Bruyne for how good he is. Father Time is undefeated in football. And his premium is going to hold. I think he's going to hold his value. It's just a case now of, in the summer, who's going to come knocking. And I think a lot will depend on what happens with Jude Bellingham, because I think Moises Caicedo is the next one on that run. Jude Bellingham is the top tier target for every club in Europe when he goes from Dortmund. From that one down, you're going to be looking at the likes of Moises Caicedo as a next best option. So wherever Jude decides to go, whoever is left will go ham for Caicedo. Brighton in a really strong position. And the best thing, I think, in my opinion, what Brighton have done is done what Dortmund did with Jadon Sancho. They were offered a derisory amount of money, what they felt was a derisory amount of money by Manchester United. Manchester United went public and made the deal public. That annoyed Dortmund to the case where, no, come back next year. Don't care what you offer now. Doesn't matter. Go away. You made an absolute arse of yourself. Come back next season and be respectful. Put in a respectful bid, and you do it quietly. Because the last thing you want to do as a selling club is advertise the fact that you're the guy going into the pub with a big wad of 50s in your back pocket going, I need to sign midfielders. Where am I going, guys? You know what I mean? So I think Brighton are in a really good position. I think they've handled it really well. I think it was bad form by the two clubs to go in so late, giving Brighton absolutely zero time to push for a replacement when Brighton are in this really strong position in the FA Cup, looking to solidify a place in Europe. And if you do get into Europe, and I said it to you the first time I had Joe on our show, that Brighton are in a really strong position and should get into Europe from where they are now with the football that they're playing. You're going to need that investment from a sale of Moises Caicedo to be able to go and fund the squad that can compete, A, in getting you back into those European places again, and B, be competitive in Europe at the same time. Because it's a big difference when you're playing a 42, 43 game season as you're currently doing with domestic cups and what have you, to adding another 9 games, 12 games on top of that with the European one, given the travel and everything else that brings in, the Thursday, Sunday, who knows? It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. You don't know. It depends on how the season ends up. But the squad will need to be deeper and bigger, and to sustain that, you look at West Ham. West Ham have had 2 really good seasons of European football. They're paying for it now. Chelsea, really good long run in the league and in Europe last year, played 61 games in all competitions. They're suffering now. We played 64 games in all competitions, went for everything, and we're suffering now. It has a knock on. So if Brighton, and I think Brighton are smart enough, the way they're strategically going to reinvest this money and develop it, come next season, you'll be in a really strong position. And you've got a manager as well who deserves to be backed. And if he's backed properly, could do something. You don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, Brighton are one of the most entertaining sides in the league to watch. I go out of my way to watch Brighton because of the entertaining football. And the fact that you've got Evan Ferguson up front gives us an extra bonus for me. But no, look, I think you've had your manager and your club have handled it really well. And as a fan base, I think you can rest assured that you're in really, really good hands. I mean, that's all I can say on it. I'm really impressed with how they've done it. I think that's a lot of the reason as well why Liverpool stood back. Like, look, it's going to take stupid money that we just can't front up. We just haven't got it. Not with what we want to do in the summer. We can't do this as well. We've already brought 1 deal forward. Can't bring 2. So we just stood back and stayed out of the way and stayed quiet. We haven't got involved in it. And I think the fact that Chelsea and Arsenal have left it this late and went public and tapped up the player by the look of it, it's not a good look.
No, yeah, it's really not. And it's been really frustrating as Brighton fans, I think, with the timing of it all. And as we've already alluded to, the very public manner in which it's been done. And Brighton historically don't like things like that. But no, thank you, Kev, for your insight there. It's always good to have people from outside your sphere, if you like, giving their 2 cents, because as fans, we can very much get, caught up in it all. But Joe, just one last thing regarding Moises, if we may, and that is just obviously, I think the game, 2 weeks ago against Liverpool, I think the area of the pitch in which we probably won the game was in the middle of the park, with that midfield 3 of Moises, Alexis McAllister and Adam Lallana. Now, with the injury of Adam Lallana and obviously with Moises being told to stay away, getting his head straight, did you worry that we wouldn't be able to match the level of performance we saw from the Albion 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, of course. And the worry as well was that Jurgen Klopp, he's no PE teacher. He's going to have studied Brighton left, right, and centre to make sure that Liverpool get a better result or a better showing that what they did when we literally played them off the park, and they just didn't turn up at all. I don't know what they were trying to do. Obviously, we work on the inviting the press, but Liverpool was standing still. What we saw from Liverpool yesterday was aggressive, which we'll go into later. But they were more energetic. They were fighting for the ball. They were running a bit more. So I was concerned that we were going to lose out on Moises, who is a player that can control the middle, calm things down a bit, break up play, win the ball back at really crucial moments. We did miss that in areas yesterday. I thought we were cheap on the ball here and there, and we seemed to panic a little bit. But I think that's just because we were playing 2 in midfield. Obviously, the change in system was, as De Zerbi said afterwards, was because we're without Moises. So I had to change the system. I think it worked in parts, but it's, as I said after the Arsenal game when Moises was suspended, it's clear to see when he's not on the pitch what he gives us, if that makes sense, because you miss it so much. So I do hope that if he does stay in these last however many hours, 30 hours left of the window, that we see the best of Moises so he can get the best for him in the summer. And what Kev said regarding the transfer fee possibly going south, I honestly wouldn't mind if we got £20 million less for him in the summer if we achieve Europe. I think that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, to a club
By the
like Brighton.
way,
Club like Brighton.
everyone, get ready for a cold night in Stoke, because we are going to be playing Stoke away in the next round of the FA Cup, just announced.
Of course we are. Of course we are. Can they do it on a cold Tuesday in Stoke?
Andy Naylor would be so happy.
No, he
Oh my
did.
word!
Well,
Yeah,
he
I
said he
forgot
didn't
about
want to
that,
go
yeah.
to the 365 because it's so blooming cold. If you've never been to the 365, oh god, it's cold. Just sorry about that. Really quickly then, Kurtis, in regards to that starting 11 that Joe mentioned, not much of a nod of confidence there for Billy Gilmore. Roberto De Zerbi saying after the match, I had to change the system because of no Caicedo. But Billy Gilmore, I thought he did come on, and I thought he looked quite good when he came on, to be fair. I thought he shored us up. What have you made of Billy Gilmore's lack of game time under Roberto De Zerbi?
I feel a bit sorry for him, admittedly. I think he's a really young, hungry talent. I think you can see that every time he plays. And I do agree. Yesterday when he came on, he looked really, really good. And he clearly has like a lot of passion for it and whatnot. You can see his social media posts. He's always posting out about when we win and stuff like that. And I want to see more from him. And I hopefully he gets the chance to do that as we keep progressing through this cup and maybe even in the league. With whatever happens with Caicedo moving forward. But yeah, I'd like to see him more, yeah, but we'll just have to see how things progress.
Yeah, we will. I think it was I think you were hit the nail on the head. I think with the 4-4-2, Liverpool were certainly much, much better at this time at the Amex. I mean, Kev, what did you make of Liverpool's starting 11 when it was announced yesterday? Were you a bit more confident that Liverpool could right the wrongs of 2 weeks ago?
Not really. Our last two games after the humiliation. I mean, look, it was 3-0 at Brighton. It could have been 6 and wouldn't argue. It was an absolute clattering from start to finish. We were absolutely exposed, had our pants pulled down, and taught a lesson. The next game after that was the I think it was 1-0 win against Wolves, where we scored and we literally just decided to sit in and we will not lose, irrespective. Then we had Chelsea, it was 0-0. I was more worried about where we were going to find a goal from than anything else, because we haven't looked threatening at all. And I think we've won 3 of our last 9 now, in all comps since the World Cup. We're in an atrocious run of form. What worried me you had the game against Chelsea. The first change he made was he brought Trent back for James Milner. It's fine, no issue there. The other one was Harvey. He stuck with Harvey Elliott on the left wing after Klopp said in his post-match interview after the Chelsea game that Harvey isn't a left winger. It's not natural to him to be on that side of the pitch. And he spent literally all of his time at Fulham, all of his time at Liverpool as either the right-sided 8 and a 3, or at Fulham he was playing as a right wing tucked inside. So that was I think that was his second start on the left for us ever. Cody Gakpo is still living in a hotel room. He's moving house this week. So I think it was his 4th game. And it was something in the commentary that was said, and it stopped me in my tracks, actually. Our best our best back four, the back four that played in the Champions League final, has played together once this season. And for all of the injuries that we have up front, it never even twigged to me how many different people have had to slot in and out of the back line. And look, I mean, I saw the starting lineup, and I knew it was going to be better. I just knew we were going to be competitive, and we were. The first half was a ding dong. It was tactical to a point. Both sides had chances. Both sides. I mean, we got our goal. It was a lovely goal. It was the touch from Salah to put Harvey through was inch perfect, and the finish was nice. Jason Steele did well to get a hand on it, and conceded one from, let's face it, was a fluke. And it comes out to the edge of the box. There's not an awful lot anyone can do about it. Stefan could have come out and maybe pressed it, but the shot was going wide anyway. So it wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference if he was on top of him. The shot was going wide, and it just took a deflection off Lewis Dunk and went in. Alisson, I thought Alisson did well to turn himself into a contortionist and nearly get a hand on it. But 1-1 at halftime, I thought was fair. I think Brighton had probably the better of it, but it was nip and tuck. Salah was put through in the first half by a pass from Harvey on his left foot that I put my house on last season. This season, he's just so devoid of confidence that it slid off his foot, and I thought I was going to go out for a throw-in. He missed it. He shanked it that badly, But other than that, I thought it was a nip and tuck half. I didn't think there was much in it, It was a tight game, and I accepted that. I was happy with that. After the way we got exposed in the last game, I was happy enough that it was competitive. But then the fall off from us is that dramatic that just being competitive and playing the way we did yesterday, that's about as good as it gets at the minute. And that's tough to take after 4 years of being spoiled with some of the football that us as Liverpool fans have watched. It's tough to come back to normal for a while, and for the vast majority of the clubs, this is normal. It's end to end, it's tough grinds. You don't get to dominate the ball all the time. You got to suck it up at times and defend man for man and last gasp tackles and what have you. And yeah, it's not a nice place to be in at the minute, but kind of the writing was on the wall for this for us. And Brighton exposed what was coming. That's been coming. What happened at Brighton in the 3-0 has been coming for us for a while. It just needed someone to actually get it over the line and do it. Some sides have threatened to do that, and we've got out of jail a couple of times this season. I mean, the Leicester one, the 2 own goals. What the hell? That just masked a load of huge cracks that were on the wall. I'm not one of these Liverpool fans who I'll say it as I see it, and if something's good, I'll say it, and if something's not good, I'll say it. But I'm not going to lambast players who've given me some of the best years of my life. I'm 50 years of age, and these guys have done everything for me. So they're having an off season, they're having a bit of a down one. Happens. It's life. Just suck it up and get on with it. But as for the game yesterday, I was just glad that we were competitive. I was glad that we were in it. From where we were, I'll take competitive. And it's not as if we're against a Mickey Mouse side. Brighton are probably one of the form sides in the country at the minute. And they're just a hard nut to crack. They're a tough side to play against. And they're hard to break down. Best combination for a Brighton fan. Worst combination if you're an opposing fan looking to try and get something out of it. Especially in a cup tie.
Yeah.
I don't think either side wanted a replay, to be fair.
No, I think you could definitely tell that towards the end. Both sides were really going for it. I thought, coming back really quickly then, Joe, to the first half, I mean, you were in the ground, very sort of end-to-end stuff in that first half, really sort of entertaining watch. Both sides, I think, had chances cleared off the line. And I know Ferguson, for us, had a chance that was well blocked on the line. In regards to their goal, a lot of Brighton fans were claiming handball in the build-up. What was your view on that? For me, it was let's put it this way, if that was the other way around, I would feel incredibly aggrieved if that had been given as a handball in the build-up. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, there's minimal. If there's any contact with Keita's arm, it's nothing. I don't think you're clutching at straws if you're trying to call for that to be offside, not offside, a foul. Yeah, nothing in it for me, to be honest. And Liverpool just carved us open and had the chance. I thought it was against the run of play at the time. I thought we were having the better of it in and around that period of the game. As you say, that's probably when Ferguson was having his shot cleared off the line and we were getting into really good positions. Solly was playing the ball across really well. MITOMA was causing Trent all sorts of problems. And, Liverpool are still Liverpool. Mo Salah is still Mo Salah. And if he's going to break and show that quality when he wants to, he will. And it just so happened that, Steely couldn't do anything more to keep that ball out of the net, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit unfortunate. It's hard. It's almost, it is impossible. I would have almost felt that if Steele hadn't got a hand on it, it might have fallen into the path of Tariq Lamptey. Potentially so, but I mean, as you say, Joe, they carved us open. It was a really nice play from Liverpool as they steamed forward. Kurtis, one player that didn't have the best of first halves, and he came out on Instagram, I believe, and said that he had a bit of a dicky tummy, was Adam Webster. What did you make of Webster's start? His first start, I believe, for quite a while.
I don't know. Adam Webster's been a bit shaky at times this season, anyway. So it was. I thought it was something to do with that, and then when he was taken off, because I was on the coach at the time, and I read that he was taken off injured, I was like, I'm not surprised. Like Adam Webster, made of glass. So I was a bit concerned for him at that point. But I've since seen the highlights and stuff, and he just didn't look really on it. He didn't look quite right. So maybe he just wasn't feeling well in hindsight, potentially, what with the tummy problems and whatnot. But like we were saying before we started the show, this is one of the reasons why I think we need to invest into a centre-back. So hopefully we can do something there.
Yeah, we need to invest in a centre-back because Adam Webster needs a shit. No, I get your point.
Thanks for listening to the Albion Obsessed podcast, everyone.
We keep it highbrow, as always. One intriguing battle that I was looking forward to seeing again was MITOMA versus Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent got taken off at 59 minutes. Didn't look particularly impressed. A lot is made of Trent's ability to defend. Do you think that Trent struggles, generally speaking, or was it, in this case, MITOMA just was having a field day down that left-hand side?
Go back to when you were talking about Evan Ferguson's chance that was cleared off the line. It was cleared off the line by Trent. And he cleared it off the line because he saw the danger early and he got back onto the line to clear it. Trent's a very good fullback, but he's asked to do a job on that right-hand side without protection. Whereas on the other side, Harvey Elliott was in front of Andy Robertson. And on the right-hand side, we've always done this. It's not new. It's normally been Jordan Henderson's job to come across and protect Trent on that side. And Mo cheats. So if we do get on the counter, he's gone. He's on his bike. But that's all well and good when it's Jordan Henderson in his pomp, able to cover the ground. When there's Naby Keita, it's a different story. And Trent wasn't getting help that he needed. Saying that, MITOMA, for me, is one of the top 3 wingers in the Premier League this season. Up there, probably, in my opinion, just behind Rashford and probably Martinelli. He's right in there. He's right in that conversation. That's a hell of a place to be in, and especially given the form that those two are showing this season and where they are in the league. MITOMA is right up there. He'll give anyone problems. I don't care if you're prime Roberto Carlos and Cafu. He'll stand you up, and he's got a trick in him, and he will do what the top wingers of the past have been able to do. He lives to skin his fullback, and as a fan, love to watch it. You love to see that in any winger, in any winger fullback. And from time to time, he's going to have the wood over a fullback. I think overall Trent did okay, but at the same time, he is coming back from injury. He's been managing a groin problem for probably the bones of a month. So I think it was a timed substitution anyway. I think that was the reason as well why he didn't start against Chelsea. And he was brought on late in that game. So I'm nearly certain it would have been a timed substitution that, look, you're going to play an hour. I was more worried when James Milner came on in the second half that MITOMA was going to see a 37-year-old James Milner and say, I got to have seconds here. I got to have snacks. But he didn't. He actually moved over to the other side. So it was probably a better way of doing it for Klopp in a way that, look, MITOMA, he's still human. He's not going to run in the first 15 minutes the same way as he'll run in the last 15 minutes. But at the same time, no, look, he's going to give every fullback in the league problems. And I think Trent did as well as he could. He managed him pretty well at times. Other times he just got done. There's no shame in that. I think the problem for Trent is that he was so good, so young, and the bar is so high for him that any slight drop off it's like the end of the world. And you look around at the other English right backs that are out there at the minute. Reece James is a wing back. He's not a full back. Kyle Walker is playing for the best possession football side of the last decade. So it's and his pace bails him out of an awful lot of trouble. When he makes a mistake, his pace will buy him out. Trent doesn't have bullet pace, but what he does have is an intelligence in playing deliveries and playing passes. So each one has their different strengths and weaknesses. I thought yesterday was a massive test for the two. You know, if Trent could have got through that, if we'd have come out of that yesterday with a draw, Trent would have been happy enough with his performance. The fact that he done an hour against MITOMA is tough going, especially if you're trying to manage a groin injury and coming back from that. But all in all, that was the one worry I had for us. And I don't think any real danger came from that side throughout the game. There was patches, flashes, but I thought Ibu Konate and Joe Gomez, for the most part, were pretty decent. You know, we're not standing by any stretch, but they were okay. And Stefan Bajcetic in that holding role for his fourth start, he did really well. So there was more positives than negatives for me overall in that whole game.
Yeah, I think, off the top of my head, one of the only chances I can remember coming from that side was it MITOMA putting a cross in for March, Alisson point blank save, and then the rebound hit March and then went out for a goal kick. I think that was the only time I can remember anything coming out there, but happy to be proved wrong in the comments below. Talking of fullback,
there was a 1-2 with him and Ferguson in the first half. He broke into the box and there was a bit of a tame shot in the end, but probably the only two, Tom, to be honest.
Decent. Talking of fullbacks, Joe, many people on Twitter rejoicing in the return of Tariq Lamptey, saying we're finally seeing shades of 2020 Tariq Lamptey. We've already chatted a little bit about the goal with the Tariq Lamptey shot that was going wide. Lewis Dunk got a foot on it, but Tariq looked to be back to his old self again yesterday. I thought he had a fantastic game. And Norma, I was almost a little disappointed that he didn't score that one. What did you make of Tariq's performance yesterday?
Just full of energy, full of belief in himself, he looks like a player that's been told by De Zerbi, look, you show me what you can do today and you stay in my squad, or we'll sort you out a loan deal. And he's proven that he can play in De Zerbi's system and he can be a fullback. And a lot of people were thinking, "Oh, is he strong enough? Is he good enough defensively after the Arsenal game?" But I don't think you can rate him just on the Arsenal game and the mistakes he made against them, because, as I said on our Arsenal podcast, they are a different beast. They didn't play particularly well, but they got the beating of us. So I thought it was a perfect time to judge him yesterday. As I say, full of energy, some unbelievable tackles, some unbelievable tracking back, unbelievable intelligence. And that is a Tariq Lamptey that we know. Really good work with Solly March on the right-hand side, overlapping, inverted runs here and there. So, yeah, really, really promising to see that we've got that Tariq Lamptey back, the Tariq Lamptey that can get us up the pitch. And, if he gets back to his best, and we've got Solly March playing the best football he's ever played, that's going to be one hell of a right-hand side. And then on the other side, you've got Estupinian and MITOMA. I mean, we're just going to be killing it down the wings. So it's really promising stuff. And I hope he can carry that through to hopefully a league performance if De Zerbi considers him worthy of starting.
Yeah, especially with things the way they are at the moment against Bournemouth, we won't see Alexis McAllister as he is serving a ban. Caicedo probably wouldn't be back for that game. That could be a reality. So that may mean that Pascal Gross maybe actually has to start in his natural midfield position instead of at right back. But I'm glad you brought up the left-hand side, Joe, because one player that really impressed me yesterday, Kurtis, was Pervis Estupinian. I think he's now got 3 assists in his last 2 games. And the assist yesterday, and we are going to talk about it now, the MITOMA goal.
Sorry, Kev. Sorry, mate.
We're very sorry, Kev, because this is the second time we've done this to you in a matter of 2 weeks. Fantastic. It was a free kick from Pascal Gross, came all the way to Purvis. Purvis puts it back into the meat grinder, as they say. And then MITOMA shows some absolutely sublime touches and makes Joe Gomez. Oh, poor man. Because that image of him bending over, that's gonna stay on the internet for a while. But no, MITOMA sends the cameraman as well for a kipper, and gets us the win in injury time. Kurtis, just how fantastic was that from our boy Karim MITOMA?
I just think, like, leading up to that, there was a load of really good individual bits of play. I mean, even like Undav's very small bit in that, he was making a block and stuff there. Oh, it was just wonderful. But MITOMA's just ball control in that split second, just give me that, portions of that, please. But he is fantastic. So far, I think he's my player of the season, and we're still got like 19 games left or something like that. So let's hope this form continues for him and the rest of the team. But speaking about Purvis, as we were talking about before, has got so much better. Like he had a couple of rocky games to start off with, as you would imagine, but he's just grown into himself, grown into that position, and he's one of the first names on the team sheet every week for me. So I'm just so happy to see him and everyone else doing so well.
Can we just talk about Undav very, very quickly, because I was so happy to see him with a smile on his face. We know he's been through a lot personally, and for him to be a part of that moment must have been so special for him. And as you say, Kurtis playing such an important role, making a nuisance of himself in the box, making defenders think, okay, I've got to stick with him. No, actually, I can't stick with him because now MITOMA's peeled off, and before they know it, the ball's in the back of the net. And to see him and MITOMA celebrating, obviously they were with USG last season together as well. Just such a great moment for Undav. And yeah, as I say, so good to see him with a smile on his face.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, Kurtis, because you can't take away how important that movement was from MITOMA, backing into the player, preventing them to getting towards MITOMA, which gave him time to bring the ball down. Now, Kev, I understand that you might not want to talk about it.
No, I don't mind. I'm all good.
It was a good goal, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic goal. It was an outrageous touch. I mean, the thing is, there were so many chances for us. Ibu had a chance to clear the header before the foul. It was a stupid foul to give away. And it's a set-piece routine that we use. From that side of the pitch, Trent or Robbo would cross it to the far post for Virgil to nod it back for Matip or Ibu coming in. It's not just us. Every side does this. It's not, something that Brighton magicked up on the training ground. The best bit from a Brighton perspective of that goal, and the most frustrating part for me, was Lewis Dunk's block on James Milner. He blocked him off from getting out to Estupiñán to prevent the cross. And last season, Manchester United had a goal cancelled out because of exactly that. And they either changed the rule or the VAR didn't see it or whatever. But the fact that Milner couldn't get out to block the cross, once the ball came in, if you look at it in real time, you can look at the body shape from MITOMA, and he was shaping on his strong right foot to volley it. Bear in mind the context of the game, you're in the 95th minute, 1-1, this is going to win. And if you're the defender, you're going to block the volley. And Joe sold himself when he went airborne. The second he went into the air, and it's literally, if you watch it, the second he went into the air, MITOMA took the touch. He brought it, changed the angle, and bang. And it was bang, bang. It was really so quick. It was a world-class finish. You can't complain about the finish, but there's so many steps that happened in the build-up to that goal that gave us opportunities to clear it and to do something better that we didn't do. Ultimately, we paid the ultimate price, and we're out of the FA Cup. But I'm glad, if we were going to go out, that we went out to a goal like that, rather than lose 1-0 to a deflected goal that you scored in the first half. That would have been a sucker punch that would rank with me. The fact that we went out at the last minute of the game to an absolute world-class finish So, yeah, fair enough. Do you know what? Even if you look at the stats and the XG, the shots, the number of shots on target, possession, it was a really close game, but ultimately Brighton had an XG of 2.09, I think, and Liverpool had an XG of 1.04. So you can't argue. None of us even on our pod post match, argued with the result. There was other things that came up in the chat, and we were all unanimous about, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But no, there was no arguments really that we were robbed or that we were hard done by in any way. It was a case of, yeah, do you know what? It's a great game. End to end. It was a tough one. But they nicked it in the end. We've literally watching videos of Divock Origi doing that to Everton and still laughing at him for it. You know, so it's just one of those, you know. There's nothing better than a late winner. So that's what it feels like when you're on the other end of it. It sucks.
I always used to rate Origi. I used to call him the 92-minute man. And just the way he would come in and like it almost was like, all right, Klopp was like, okay, bring him in. We need someone to give that little bit of spark just to finish off the game. And it's always so impressive.
Absolutely love Divock Origi. The man gave us so many great moments, and I wish do you know what? I wish he'd have gone earlier in his career. I wish he'd have gone and moved when he was 24 to really kick on. But at the same time, he scored the winner in the Champions League final against Spurs. He's got a Champions League winner's medal. Yeah, he's literally done everything. We signed him at 17. You know, he was Belgium's youngest player going to a World Cup, 17 years of age, and we paid 10 million for him. We had him at the club for 10 years. The guy's an absolute icon at Liverpool. He's not club legend. He's a club icon. He's one of those ones that give you magic moments. But when you have a moment like that MITOMA give to the Brighton fans, as Brighton fans, it's like heaven. It's manna, you know. Ultimately, if it was against Crystal Palace, it would have been the ultimate. But at the same time, it's one that when he retires, he'll be like, do you remember this day? You know, it's one of those. It's one of those goals. And credit to him. It was a world-class finish, world-class goal. But from my point of view, should have done better. Really should have done better.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Because I mean, we've all been there when we've like great goal, but we could have stopped it if we had done this and this. I mean, we had that so many times when we played Arsenal a few weeks ago. I mean, you know, the scoreline might say, well, you conceded 4. Can you really sit there and say, well, you should have done better? Yes, we should have done. But no, we move. So let's talk about some of those incidents that you referred to there, because there was a few contentious decisions in regards to whether Liverpool should have ended the game with 11 players on the pitch. Now, depending on who you talk to, depends on how many players they believe that Liverpool should have ended with. Some dubious challenges, some that were a bit more open to interpretation. I'm talking about Andy Robinson and Pond. Was it McAllister? Studs up quite high, but
it was borderline boot level, and there was no pressure after that. It was just he was going for the ball, slightly missed it. No one else can have that excuse. Fabinho was one of the most disturbing tackles I've seen in a long time on the pitch by anyone. It's a reason why the red card was brought in football all those years ago, was to stop people hatcheting players. The likes of Diego Maradona had their career shortened because of players tackling like that. It was a disgusting tackle. It deserved a red card. Now, the referee is, in my opinion, one of the worst in the league anyway, but it was compounded by the fact that the VAR had that much time to look at it and allow a yellow card. So that's two pairs of eyes that have looked at this. Plus his VAR team have looked at this and deemed that that's a yellow card. If that was the other way around, if that was Solly March on Thiago, you wouldn't have got me on here because I would have been raging. I'd have been fuming. And I think justifiably so. It was a nailed on 100% bona fide red card, 3-game ban. And if there was an available extra ban for just being that brain dead stupid for coming on with 5 minutes to go and dropping yourself and your teammates in the crapper, he'd have got the extra game as well. it was. There is I have not seen a single Liverpool fan justify it in any way, shape, or form, and you can't. When it's there in front of your face, if you watch football or have played football at any level, you know exactly what that is. It's wrong, and he knew. Fabinho knew straight away because he was like, "Ooh, damn." Maybe he thought he was going to try and get his foot around to hook it or whatever, but nah. I'm sorry, man. Red card every day of the week, twice on Sundays. No complaint, no arguments from me whatsoever.
Yeah, it was a horrible challenge, and I think it has been in a roundabout way. It's been really quite nice that no one seems to be arguing with it. People like yourself, Kev, as you say, no Liverpool fans have tried to sit there and go, "Oh, actually, no, it was actually fine." It has been, rightfully condemned. The player, as you say, Fabinho, he knew he had done wrong. It's bizarre that VAR hasn't changed that decision, Joe. I mean, you were on 5 Live this morning, saying your bit, and you mentioned it, and you said about, how is it that everyone in the ground, even including the player that has committed the tackle, knows that it should be a red? How is it that the on-field referee and VAR have deemed that a yellow card offence?
Well, I was watching a Wrexham game last night when I got back, and there was a red card in that one. I watched the replay about 6 or 7 times and struggled to spot what had actually happened because it was sort of on the far end of the pitch, almost out of shot. And I'm thinking, right, if those officials have seen that that's happened without VAR, how on earth, in a stadium of 32,000 people, with the players on the pitch, not recognised or looked back? Like, I was on the coach home, back to the car park, and I saw there was the first time I saw the replay. When I was in the ground, I wasn't sure because I was so far away. I was in the West Upper, and so I didn't really see what happened. It's when I saw the replay back, I was like, that tackle is literally one of the worst tackles I've ever seen on a Brighton player. It's absolutely disgusting. 18-year-old as well. In the form of his, well, I say form of his life, he's 18 years old, broken onto the scene, doing so bloody well, possibly now could be, I don't want to speculate, but could be out for a considerable length of time if it is a serious injury. What's that going to do to the poor lad?
Yeah, I mean,
all for a moment of stupidity. And as you were about to say, Tom, he left the stadium on crutches. We was talking before we started recording. Kev said really promising that he's not left in a protective boot. But still, why? What goes through your mind to make that challenge? And as for VAR, we said it all before, Tom. I just feel like I'm repeating myself. Completely inept, needs to be looked at. Why don't fans know what's going on? Why have we not heard the conversation between the referee and VAR when they've come to the conclusion that no, stick with your on-field decision. That's definitely a yellow card. I just don't get it, Tom. It's just completely and utterly inept.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. I'm actually angrier at VAR than I am Fabinho, if I'm being brutally honest, because at least Fabinho knew he had done the wrong thing. One other decision that was quite contentious was Konate, who was already on a yellow. Him and McAllister collided, Kev, and it was waved on as no foul. What did you guys make of that?
Well, when we were doing the post-match, I completely forgot that Ibu had picked up a booking earlier on in the game. And I honestly thought it was a foul. I thought it was a yellow card. There's an argument for it being a red if you deemed that someone wasn't going to come across or whatever. But that seems to be a really high bar these days. To get a red card for a last man, that seems to be a really, really high bar at the moment. I thought it was definitely a foul. I thought once you clattered the guy around the back of the head. And in fairness, Ibu's no small spruce, he's a big unit, and he caught him around the back of the head as well as his hip. It's like, look, thou shalt not pass. You ain't going no further, my son. But it was a foul, and if it's a foul, it's at least a minimum a yellow card. Arguable that it was a red, but at the same time, this is where I'd back up the VAR official. Once the on-field referee decided that no, it's just a natural coming together, and it's just like in the guise of this is what you all wanted. You all wanted the game to flow. This is letting the game flow. I don't believe that nonsense. So I think if a foul, you call it and that's it. You're done. It's not your job to police the morals of the game. If your job in the middle of the park is to call a foul, that's it. There's no grey areas here. But yeah, look, I wouldn't have argued if it was given as a straight red, because I could see the argument for it. But once the referee decided that it was not a foul, VAR couldn't get involved because the clear and obvious thing comes up into interpretation. One thing I wanted to add to what Joe was saying, actually, there was something going around on Twitter last week, and it was an interview post-match unfortunately, it was in German, so I couldn't understand what they were saying. But I think it was the RB Leipzig manager. It might have been Borussia Dortmund, I'm not sure, but I think it was RB Leipzig, and the match official, both being interviewed about a contentious decision that was made during the game. And I thought, hallelujah, the sky didn't fall in Germany. They're still going to have Bundesliga fixtures at the weekend. And a match official came out after the game and explained to the opposing manager why he made the decision he made. And guess what? The opposing manager didn't blow his lid. He was sat there, he listened to what was said, and you could see him nodding. It's like, yeah, okay, I get where you're coming from. I disagree, or whatever he said. But it was respectful, calm, and the fans were informed. How we don't have a situation in football, this multi-billion-pound global industry, world-leading sport, most popular sport in the world, and we're still trailing behind rugby on so many things, from communications with the fans, communications between the officials and the players, officials and the fans, HIAs, all of this stuff that rugby are streets ahead of football in. And the argument you get back in was, well, we have to do one rule for all football globally. Oh, sorry, sunshine. It's the Premier League. It's the biggest, most watched event in the world every week for 38 weeks of the year. Get it right in this league. Communicate with your fans, your paying customers, why decisions are made, why Fabinho wasn't sent off, why a decision on Ibu Konate wasn't made. The frustrating thing is the commentators hear the conversation. Tell us what they're saying. Press play, record and press play a minute later and talk about why a decision wasn't made. Post-match, when you're doing a post-match review of the game, someone can edit up what the referee was saying in that moment, play it over what happened, and let us hear what's going on. The only thing that can come from that is fans as a whole, for every club, you're going to be more informed. You've got to be better educated about the game. Because the one thing, since the advent of VAR, when it first came in, the amount of people who commentate on football and who talk about football, who haven't got a clue about the game, about the rules of the game, is mind-boggling. How you can have commentators and pundits and co-coms talking about football and they don't understand the rules of the game. It frustrates the living daylights out of me. But all you have to do is let us hear that conversation, and we will be educated by it. We will understand the game better for it. We're paying enough money to watch the damn thing. Let us understand it. It's not hard. I mean, I know there's trials going all over the world. We all seen the video of the trial with the Australian referee, and he's now in England, apparently, refereeing. So it can be done. It's just either stumbling blocks with the FA or stumbling blocks with the Premier League who won't allow it to happen. And it's just like, look, we were a year behind everyone else in Europe when they introduced VAR, and we're still behind now with all the new advances in VAR. The fact that we still don't have semi-automated technology in place for offside. It was debuted in the World Cup. It absolutely worked a treat. Why haven't we got that still? That will speed up the game. little things like that. But for the amount of money that's been talked about transfer fees that's going around the houses for the next couple of days, it's ridiculous. It's just not on. I mean, we deserve better as fans.
We certainly do, and I think that's brought us really full circle. We're back to, we're here spending like the best part of £100 million on a single player, yet we're falling behind the A League in terms of how we operate our, refereeing and our systems like that. So yeah, a lot to be learnt here. So there you have it, guys. That wraps up our FA Cup analysis. It was a thrilling game, I'm sure. Well, I hope the neutrals enjoyed it. Last minute winners always do the trick, and lots of talking points. Kev, who have you got next?
Well, we haven't got a trip to Stoke in the FA Cup, that's for sure. We've got Wolves at the weekend, and then we got the derby against Sean Dyche's Everton. God forbid that's going to be war. That game is going to be absolute war. There's so much on these next two fixtures for us. Once the window closes, whatever clubs have, that's what they've got now between now and the end of the season. Suck it up and get on with life. It is what it is. Just got to make the most of it. And, the Real Madrid game comes around soon enough. I think that's mid-February. By then, hopefully, we'll have some key players back. The likes of Jota, Diaz, Bobby Firmino, Virgil van Dijk. They're huge misses for us, no doubt about it. And just hopefully we can get those back and we'll start looking a bit like ourselves again.
Talking of Firmino, did you go see the thing in the Daily Mail with MITOMA when he was? They took the photo of MITOMA celebrating with Sarmiento, and the Daily Mail tagline under the picture was Firmino hugs MITOMA. I was like, what the hell? The Daily Mail, man.
No, man. Look, I absolutely love Bobby. I think he's an absolute proper footballer. He's a footballer's footballer. I think he's Bobby Firmino, and what Cody Gakpo was doing yesterday. Those kind of unselfish, unseen roles that you see a lot of players. I assume Brighton will have those players as well. That where players love. Adam Lallana would be a prime example. That they're just unselfish and they give up themselves from what they can do for the betterment of the team. So I can't wait to have Bobby back.
And we can't wait to have Adam Lallana back because that man gets us ticking. What a player Adam Lallana is. We absolutely love him.
Tom, before you continue, I feel need to say this as well. Watchers, right? You need to be doing us a little favour here. Why don't you head on over to our Instagram, our TikTok, and give us a little follow there because we're putting out some really good content in these spaces. And we want to boost it. We're almost at 100 followers on TikTok and a little bit of news as well. 2 new episodes of Road to the Premier League. FIFA 10 is being recorded this week, so they are going up on YouTube in the future. So be prepared for that. And we're going to try and sign a 32-year-old Roberto De Zerbi. So that's going to be fun.
What a time to be alive. And Kurtis, thank you for doing that before I start doing the outro, so it doesn't throw me. Oh, Joe, don't you?
Wait. No,
I'm not going to start doing it because I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, I know, but
just wanted to say,
Matt, I need to say. So we were going to put a clip of Dogma's audio recording from the Chelsea game on the end of our last analysis against Liverpool. However, the news of Enoch and Wepu falling ill broke whilst we were live on air. So we ended on that news. But we will insert a clip of Dogma's audio, which is really, really fascinating to listen to. You get all of the concourse atmosphere. You even, I believe, rumor has it, you even hear the guy that was recording go for a piss at halftime. So if you wanna listen to that, then go for it. But we'll insert 5 minutes at the end, probably of like a goal going in. Just feel that emotion. Take yourself back to that incredible 4-1 win against Chelsea. Full link for it is in the description if you want to listen to the whole 90 minutes, and it's great fun.
Good skills. What I was going to say, talking of Roberto De Zerbi, it was really interesting to hear his post-match comments about how he was still really unhappy. We just beat Liverpool 2-1.
I like that though.
And he was still like, nah, I'm not happy.
It's better than the Graham Potter, better than the Potter sort of copy paste. Like the boys gave everything. I'm really
we had to suffer.
Yeah, because we weren't fantastic at spots during that game, and I think it's really good that he said that we can be better, and if we want to continue in this tournament, we need to keep continually getting better. Otherwise, we're not gonna continue. So I think it's really refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely love Roberto De Zerbi. I'm here for it. This is the way. Kev, thank you very much for joining us this evening, giving up some time to talk about the game at the weekend. We wish you all the best for the rest of the season. I bet you'll be pleased to hear that we don't have to play each other again.
No, I'm gonna miss Joe now coming over on the Friday night. I don't know. We're gonna definitely get Joe or any of you guys, to be honest, come over with us on Friday night. Do a Premier League previews. One thing I just want to give a quick plug, actually. On our channel, we don't take. We've turned off our super chats now on the LFC Daytrippers. What we're doing is a drive to try to raise €20,000 for breast cancer awareness. What it is, we've got 12 women in Dublin who belong to Ashburn GAA Club, and they decided to run the Dublin City Marathon, and that's in October. And what we're trying to do between now and then is raise €20,000 for that charity. And there's an awful lot of stuff in the works on the way at the minute. But if anyone is watching, if you go onto the at LFC Daytrippers Twitter page, and the pinned tweet on there is a link to the description about the charity. If it interests you at all, please, by all means, if you could donate, please do. If not, just grab the link and share it amongst your family and friends. It's an illness that sadly visits too many households, and anything that we as a channel can do to raise its awareness is this is why we do it. We're a bunch of lads from Ireland who love to chat about football, but ultimately we love nothing more than to try to raise money for charity, and this is the latest one that we're kicking on about.
I'll also put the link in the description if people want to go and donate, and we'll share the link on our socials as well. But yeah, top work, Kev. It's incredible.
Massive well done to you guys. And if you are able to, listeners and viewers, please do consider supporting the fine people at LFC Daytrippers in their what they're doing there, because that is absolutely fantastic. And as someone who's run a marathon, I can tell you it's bloody hard. So I
think the 12 of them are absolutely insane. Nut jobs, a lot of them. Good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck, guys, because it's a hell of an undertaking. Good luck to you. But no, thank you for joining us this evening, guys. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Brighton play Bournemouth next at home, so that's going to be an interesting game. We never do very well against Bournemouth, so it will be interesting to see what Roberto De Zerbi's mighty Sea Pigeons can do. Let us know your thoughts down below. Are the mighty Brighton going to come out winners against Bournemouth? Are we going to lose? How many goals are we going to score? 84. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Wherever you may be, whenever you may be. We'll see you again next time. Take care.